the key slightly differently so that it's actually a little bit shorter, and you apply the same concept, only it's a lot safer and it works a lot better.
If you are familiar with pick guns, they do the same thing. Basically, they just shock the bottom pins as hard as they can, and it pops the driver pins up long enough for you to turn it over. I've seen vibrators open up locks like that too.
We don't mean industrial vibrators. We mean, hey, what are you going into that store for? What's that brown bag you got? That guy.
What, you were behind me in line? All right.
Again, something that occurred after
Myself,
church.
you have a question.
Oh, wait, no, this guy. Oh, sorry. Myself will get to you. He's a good dude.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Some banks, like they have like somebody come up and put like one key, it opens the part of the lock, and then you come in and open the other half.
Right.
How do those work?
Well, it's basically just two locks. Whether or not they have to be turned at the same time, and that's, you're getting into nuclear shit like that. But basically, it's one system just secured with two locks. The idea is that no one person has a means of opening the box. But yeah, that's just how it works. Sometimes, what the fuck? Sometimes the keys vary in style. Like one might be a wafer, or not wafer, a warded lock, and the other one will be a standard pin tumbler. But it depends on your bank. They have some good locks in there, so I mean, you would probably trust their safety deposit boxes for the most part, unless someone has a crowbar. So. Well, yeah, and I'm sure that's the case. But I mean, I've run into at least one that was. Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. But I mean, I have run into at least one case where a buddy of mine actually had a safe, same sort of keyway, same sort of dual key setup, and I actually managed to break a pick in it. Well, primarily because it was so rusted. Apparently, it had been sitting outside the back of some business for so long, and I was like, hey, I wonder what the hell they dropped in this thing. So, whatever.
Are you aware of anyone using variable stiffness springs? Say not the same spring on every pin.
I'm not aware of anyone doing it, but out of curiosity, I did it to myself. If you look, and I don't mean you myself, I mean myself.
We can't even get through a talk without that joke. Christ.
Yeah, seriously. Change your name. No, I'm kidding. God bless it. This Ace Hardware lock was something I did that to. I took out all the pins, I took out all the springs, and I actually cut the springs to varying lengths so that they offered varying resistance. And let me tell you, the sucker can be a bitch to open. The regular key won't actually open this. You have unless the pins are being pulled down by gravity. Otherwise, if you try to put it in there upside down, the thing just won't budge. So yeah, I could see that. But the reason that a lot of companies don't do stuff like that is because you got to remember that. You don't want to make things hard for the legitimate user, You don't want to make a lock so that, why won't this open? Oh, I bought a crappy lock, it's not opening. What, the people don't want to have to deal with that stuff, and that's why stuff like the shit locks that you get at Home Depot are so poorly keyed, and the tolerances are just horrible in them. Is because they're a lot easier to open, and people just assume they're working better.
Varying
for that
the
reason.
spring tension also is a poor way of pick resistifying your lock. You basically need a decent pressure, not too much, not too little. If you have too much, then the pins don't line up properly. You're going to get them caught binding on the shear line. If you have too little, you run into the problem that we saw with the kryptonite locks that can be opened with the big pen. Have you all seen that?
Yeah, that was
funny.
You've
all seen that. All right, so.
Well, all right. Are we out of time? Do we still have time?
We got about 2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes. Any questions?
5 minutes.
Okay. Oh, okay. No. There.
Omal.
I got a comment and a question.
Comment and a question. Go for it.
Things being flooded with, the market being flooded with cheap locks. With permission, I've had to pick a cash register and expensive Dell server, both of which are miserable enough locks I can get them open.
Mm-hmm.
To serve.
Yep.
How expensive are the crazy magnetic locks?
Ooh. You're talking big pimping.
Are you talking the fully magnetic ones or the multi-locks?
The multi-lock.
Oh, the multi-locks are...
Well, it's basically the multi-lock, fully magnetic the whole way through. There's a few attacks that can challenge those, but we won't get into that here. The multi-lock is a very expensive lock. I mean, it's made by a small Israeli company, and it will cost upwards of $300 to $400 per lock to put that in.
I haven't seen the pricing on the newer ones, but I imagine they're huge.
Huh?
The cost of rekeying one.
Like I said, the locksmith in Coventry said not to lose that key because you can't make a new one, or he doesn't want to, one or the other.
Find someone that wants
you
to do that.
probably would have to do the same thing you do with like laser cut keys from whatever, car companies. You probably have to special order them. This is the first time I've ever actually gotten to hold one of these, and so I don't really have experience with it. Yeah, it's right there if you want to.
One on the far left.
We trust you. Rest of you fuckers. That guy.
Black shirt.
One more question. I've done a little research on it myself. I came across a new type of lock, and I can't remember if it's called CyberLink or VidLock or something like that. But the basic premise is that it's got 3 connectors, and then you mate the other key on top of it, and then it passes some sort of an encryption, to another chip on the other side, which then allows you to snap open it.
That sounds really cool. No, I've actually never heard of that. But as cool as that is, you got to remember that with any sort of key system, it's just a layer in a series of security systems. You don't want to invest in a $500 lock and then put in some single pane piece of crap glass in your window. Because as I always tell people, it's a million times easier to throw a brick than pick a lock.
We don't tell that to you here, by the way. What's that?
Comment on the CyberLock keys. The one thing, most physical security companies don't know anything about logical security. So their idea of encryption is at best polyglot 13.
Yeah. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, the new keys that they're actually coming out with are Bluetooth enabled, which allows you to update them from your cell phone.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, you made me laugh. Thanks. Yes, I have actually heard about that lock. I do not know much about it, so I'm not going to go into that here.
I haven't ever actually physically seen one, but I saw it and I thought, oh, this looks cool. But it's only a matter of time before somebody comes out with vulnerability.
Exactly. I mean, at that point, you're going to start going into software and then encryption attacks and whatever.
And again, with as cool as a lot of these locks are, like I said, you have to remember it's all concepts of security. You have diminishing returns as you keep going and spending more and more money. And if you have a wooden door frame and you're putting a multi-lock on it, you're a goddamn idiot. And fucking just buy something cheaper or buy a better door frame. You have to remember that there's always a ways around things, and in fact, lockpicking is probably the least convenient of all of them. And 99.5% of all burglars, and I'm not kind of making that up off the top of my head, but it's pretty much the truth that burglars don't like to lockpick because it's time-consuming and you're vulnerable, and they'd rather just open a window and crawl through it. For instance, one thing with the key we're talking about, I mean, as complex as a key can be, you also have to look at certain other aspects of a lock. For instance, these multi-locks, the other reason I like them so much is because they're made so well. They have really good, strong materials in them. I mean, one common way that a lot of burglars break into locks is what they'll do is they'll just take a power drill, drill a pilot hole into the lock, and then drill a screw into that hole, and then take a pair of pliers and just yank the plug out. And
they did that to me. That's how they stole my Buick.
Yeah, with a knife and a brick. I wish I was exaggerating. We found the knife and the brick.
They jacked it up under the lock housing, popped it out with a brick. Not much to it.
It's the same concept of how they want to outlaw machine guns, but yet 90% of all the violent felonies all happen with a pistol.
Oh yeah, it's convenience.
Why the hell are they going to worry to use something like that?
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of time. Do we have any more questions? Wow, we have a couple more.
All right. Okay, one more.
One more? Case sweatshirt.
Cylindrical locks, some PCM vending machines.
Tubular locks? Well, they come in 2 different varieties, 7 and 8 pin. You can buy picks from them. They follow the same concept as these. You pick them pretty much the same way. The only downside of them as blocks, if you're trying to secure something with them, is if someone has picked a cylindrical lock, they've pretty much picked it forever, because the way that cylinder, and unfortunately I don't have a cylindrical pick here, but the way they work is you basically have little pieces of metal that you slide back and forth, and you pick each pin like you would a regular lock, and once you've done it, you lock them into place, you kind of tighten them onto the pick, and then suddenly you basically have a key to that lock forever. Yeah. I mean, unless
instead of having the pins all in a row, they're in a circle, and people thought, ooh, it's the security through obscurity kind of technique. There's nothing special about tubular locks. They are no more secure than a pin tumbler lock.
Again, be wary, do your research. I mean, that whole thing sounded all cool, but remember Kryptonite, the pen thing? That was a tubular lock. So,
with crappy springs in it.
All right,
let's do one more question real quick. With this guy over here. What'd you have?
Would it be wise to carry around, instead of lockpicking tools, or
those are controlled.
Yeah,
Those
hypothetically.
are locksmith's tools as
Yeah,
well.
they.
To a police officer, bump locking keys look like normal keys.
Yeah, but you're also talking about carrying keys for how many varieties of locks you
We
might
have-
encounter?
Select few, the most popular.
Right. I mean, yeah, hypothetically you could do that, but then you're kind of just restricted to that, and that's no fun.
You can get around things any way you want to. You can put flowers on it and claim that it's, you know, some sort of floral decoration or something. My example at the airport, I was considering telling them that it was a mechanical toothbrush that you have to assemble.
One hell of a mechanical toothbrush.
Honestly, they probably would have bought it.
There you go, dental picks. If anyone asks you, you just have really bad dental needs.
Anyhow,
All right, anyhow,
we are
that's
going to
it
be
for
hanging
us.
out up in the con suite. We are not going to be out in the lobby here because that's going to get crowded, I think. So we're going to be up in the con suite with all of these locks that you are more than welcome to come with your picks and try to crack these. We will explain whatever you want to know about whatever we know. And that's it. Have a great
Enjoy the
time at
con.
Nauticon. Thank you.
Not the magnet, but
Like I have four pin pick sets here. It has one wrench and 4 picks in it with a book. I'm selling those for like $20. These right here is a 14, I think, a pick set. Comes with pick grips, and it's
do you know where it would go?
you know, nothing fantastic. They're starter sets, you know. So
It's
that one's
invisible?
$40. The only picks you're ever really gonna need for
You pick this one yet?